One of the most recognizable signs of a Sith Lord was the appearance of what is generally known as Sith eyes, whereby their eyes would take on a bright luminous yellow, red, and orange color. However, this physical change was only the beginning of an all too familiar physical degradation of a Sith Lord, with many appearing to be completely transformed by the dark side with severe physical deformities. One of the best representations of this is the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, but there are many other examples of Sith who experienced a similar deterioration as Sidious, and many who were much worse. King Mammon, who lived roughly 4,000 years before Sidious, studied the dark side so relentlessly as a Sith sorcerer that he physically decayed to the point of having to rely upon a cyborg exoskeleton not just to move, but to survive. Darth Nihilus, who had no limit to his craving for the dark side, would be outright consumed by it, a transformation that would cause him to lose his corporal form completely. Whether it be Darth Sash, Darth Sion, Darth Malgus, or even Darth Bane, there was a constant theme. Sith Lords who embraced the dark side fully were physically deformed, with many similar features being recognizable among their decaying appearance. In this video expose, we'll look at why so many Sith Lords were physically deformed, turning to the words of the Sith themselves to see how this transformation by the dark side was understood by the Dark Lords within the Order. One of the best insights comes from Darth Bane, which is seen within the Bane trilogy from Legends. But most of Bane's initial knowledge about the physical corruption of the dark side didn't come from his own personal studies, but from the guidance of Darth Revan. Finding Darth Revan's holocron within the Temple of the Ancients on the Unknown Regions planet of Lahan, there was a lesson Bane would learn even before the value exemplified by his rule of two. Revan made one thing clear above all else. Those who used the dark side and sought its power were also bound to serve it. All Sith had to covet the power offered by the dark side, to seek it out without reservation. In doing so, a Sith Lord wouldn't merely be unlocking the power of the dark side, but would undergo a transformation because of it. As Revan's holocron explained to Bane, a true Sith shouldn't fear being completely transformed by the Force, as true power would only come to those who didn't seek a path of moderation. It was a Jedi trait to resist the transformative nature of the Force, and the Sith wouldn't fight what was a natural extension of their quest for power. Therefore, Bane learned from Darth Revan's holocron the source of that which corrupted many of the ancient Sith within the Order's history. It was the nature of the dark side alone that caused a physical degradation among these Sith. As one immersed themselves deeper within the dark side, they wouldn't only learn its power, but the Sith Lord would become a vehicle for the Force itself, and the resulting transformation had to be accepted. Roughly 10 years after this experience with Revan's holocron, in the second novel of the Bane trilogy, Rule of Two, Darth Bane would demonstrate his knowledge of the corrupting nature of the dark side and the way it would physically deform a Sith Lord. Having found the holocron of Freedon Nad within the ancient Sith Lord's tomb, Bane was confronted by the holocron's gatekeeper, a hologrammic projection of the ancient Sith himself. Immediately, Bane recognized the dark side's physical corruption in Freedon Nad in his having delved too deeply into the power of the dark side. Bane saw that Nad's skin was pale and withered, with sunken sections that made him appear to be in poor health. And of course, the Sith Lord's eyes were glowing yellow while devoid of any pupil. Having recognized the reason for Freedon Nad's appearance from Revan's holocron, Bane understood that the ancient Sith Lord was one who was experienced in the dark side, and thus, Bane respected his knowledge because of it. A further 10 years later, Darth Bane would also recognize the reason for his own physical deformity and decay. As Bane long understood, his decades of drawing upon the power of the dark side took a devastating toll upon his physical body, causing a deterioration that was far greater than the effects of age. And 20 years removed from Revan's first explanation of the dark side's corrupting nature, Bane had his own theory on why many of the ancient Sith, and now himself, were physically deformed. Bane believed that the body's flesh and bone were physically incapable of withstanding the immense energy unleashed by the Force. By tapping into the dark side, this energy didn't simply flow through the Sith Lord, but acted like a fire that consumed them as well, devouring them piece by piece. Acting as a catalyst for the dark side and channeling its power, the Sith Lord's flesh and bone lacked the strength to do this continually and would start to break down. This is why so many of the physical features of these Sith Lords were similar. The pale, rough, sunken skin, yellowish-red sulfuric eyes, protruding veins. These were the result of the corrupting nature of the dark side itself. This knowledge would be passed down from master to apprentice within Bane's Order of the Sith Lords, ultimately being acknowledged in a conversation between Darth Plagueis and his apprentice Darth Sidious. When Sidious asked Plagueis whether he too might one day experience the physical corruption of the dark side, Plagueis immediately turned to the ancient Sith who we've previously mentioned as having undergone a serious physical decay through their use of the Force, including King Mammon, Darth Sion, and Darth Nihilus. Taking his cue from Darth Bane, Plagueis acknowledged that the typical physical transformation experienced by the Sith, whereby they became an aged, pale-skinned, yellow-eyed monster, was a direct result of the dark side. In this way, the Force acted as an illness and would undoubtedly transform a true user of the dark side. However, like it started with the conversation between Revan and Bane, Plagueis assured his apprentice that this transformation was a necessary one to experience the true power of the dark side, and it was an illness no true Sith would wish to be cured of. Therefore, the lore from Legends established a great continuity from Darth Revan through to Darth Sidious for how the dark side itself corrupted the Sith, and many times resulted in severe physical deformities. So there we have it, why so many Sith Lords were physically deformed. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter at SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive rewards and discussions. And let me give a huge thank you to our recent Patreon members, Zero Returns, Caesar, Daniel, and Miles. If not for me... For Darth Sash.